crowdsourcing stuff is the power of the 21st century, right? And so, I think on these resolutions, letting the grassroots have a voice in what the party's positions are is a lot more important than what 25 people on the state steering committee think about something. With all due respect to the people who serve on the state steering committee, I don't care what they think about it vis-a-vis any other person, more or less. They're just because they're in that particular position doesn't mean that, that they have more of a say in where the party goes. And this idea that 25 people on the steering committee can decide it's a bad idea for the party to stand for a public option when, national polling said 65% of the public supported it, 80+% of Democrats supported it.
80+.
But the steering committee says, no, we can't take that as a position. That's not the right place for them to be coming in and telling the grassroots that. So I think one of the ways that we can start to improve that is I'd like to see the resolution system move to more of a grassroots system. We have the huge email list. We seem to be able to use it to hit people up for money, but we won't use it to get their feedback on this. If the steering committee thinks that a public option resolution is a bad idea, say a couple years ago, or thinks that a resolution against Citizens United is a bad idea, let's put it on our email list. Let's put it up to a vote of our activists. Let's see what they have to say, and then come back. And, because I'll tell you what the result of that would be is 80 to 90% of our activists support a public option, 80 to 90% of our activists hate Citizens United, probably 90% more of our activists hate Citizens United.
God, yeah. 99.
Right, I would say even in Virginia, which is a conservative, military-driven state by, in terms of standard of states, I'm sure that probably at least 70 to 75% of Democrats are strongly opposed to the wars, both wars, and probably want us to withdraw right now.
Yeah, I think so.
And so leading from a position of strength is, I think, positive. Now, there's going to be some issues where the party's more split. I could see, for example, polling indicates that the death penalty is an issue that, it's a majority of Democrats support repealing it, but it's not a massive margin. There's some real debate within the party on that. And maybe you want to slow down certain issues that there's real debate in the party about. You don't want to have the party come in and say, 51% of us say this. So
but if it's
that's
80,
the Tea Party.
90%.
When you have 80, 90%, and that's where you can seek out, my problem isn't just that they're killing these resolutions, that they don't even feel the need to seek out any grassroots input onto whether or not they're killing it. It's that they think that their opinion on it is what matters, not what the party stands for. And the whole point of the Democratic Party of Virginia is it is an identity to which voters judge our candidates and decide whether or not to vote for them. And so the positions that we take and the education that we give to our candidates is imperative to that. I can tell you, I've been involved, next year will be my 20th year in Democratic politics in Virginia. And I started as a middle school student working with the Young Democrats and have worked my way up all the way through the party, doing numerous different things. And I can never remember in 20 years of involvement a single time that the party ever said, maybe we should get some input from our members on this. I've seen a lot of scams from the party where they send out, where they tell people that they're joining the party. The DPVA has this mail thing they send out once a year that asks people to join the DPVA. The only members of the DPVA are the Central Committee. There is no other membership. But this form claims to have them be a membership where you check off and they send you a card back that you can put in your wallet and it says, I am a member of DPVA.
Card-carrying member.
I'm a card-carrying member. And a lot of, older people think that they are enrolling in the Democratic Party and sign up or might be, the idea of this is it's some sort of, mental way of kind of getting people to think, well, my due, the letter says your dues are now due for next year. Send this in, you need to renew. Or
if you don't, then you'll be out.
Well, right. But they have this membership. I'd call it a fake membership. Well, let's start there. Let's take everyone who signed up for, we quote, a member of the party, and let's ask them for some input. Send them a questionnaire in the mail and say, what issues do you think the party should be taking the lead on? How strongly do you feel about these things? Well, if you're going to tell people that they're going to have to pay $50 to be a member every year, let them be a member, and let them have some grassroots involvement. I understand that there's, people are concerned with what defines a Democrat and how do you do this at the grassroots level. Well, there's multiple ways to do it. I think, what if we said, to empower local committees? What if we went out and said, any resolution that goes to the state has to be passed by committees that represent 35% of the population of Virginia. You wouldn't want to say 50% because there's a lot of committees that are inactive that you never have a chance, so that would make a really high hurdle. But say 30% would be enough to, or a third, to bring a resolution before DPVA. And what that would do is it would create your largest committees, Fairfax, Virginia Beach, Richmond, Henrico, Chesterfield, Arlington, Alexandria, Prince William, Roanoke. Would be incentivized to start taking these things up, to start passing resolutions that they thought were appropriate. And when it's like a constitutional amendment, when a certain number of passed ones with the same language, that language then goes before DPVA. And when that language goes before DPVA, at that point, it's got to be taken, a lot more seriously because it's gone through a formal process. The local grassroots activists have passed it through. Right now, they treat these resolutions like, they treat the resolutions as if some sort of crackpot is putting them in or something. When a lot of them have been passed by certain committees. I mean, the Fairfax Committee is very active with resolutions. I mean, and we treat them like their resolutions are, I don't even know what the term is for it, but we treat them like they're outcasts, or that these, it's like the crazy uncle in the room,
irresponsible almost, or
right, and it's and it doesn't make any sense to me. So I think formalizing that process. I mean, I'd much rather have a resolution written by the largest committee in the state that passed through the largest committee in the state than having a resolution written by some attorney on Central Committee that thinks that they should speak for all Virginia Democrats. It's just like, it's crazy.